Now, let us look at how to solve the same example in a different way. The critical path will not change. The bar chart and the bar histograms would have slight modification, especially at the histogram session. So the same question has been presented to us, and the same information has been presented to us. And so we will go and first draw the network diagram and determine the floats and the critical path. And thereafter, we will draw the early start bar chart and draw the histogram in a different format. With the resources available as 6, we would also smoothen the resources to be within the available 6 resources. So let us proceed and draw the precedence diagram, determine our critical path, and also determine the floats. So we have this information, and as usual, the network diagram is what we have done in the previous lesson, so I will not belabor its construction. So we have activity A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. I have all the linkages and have all the information is provided. The total duration is 16. The critical path is A, C, F, and H. And the activities we float are on B, D, E, and G. So let's proceed. So let's look at another way of presenting our results. So we are told that the available resource is 6. And we have our network diagram with critical path A, C, F, and H. So those activities will not be moved in terms of the resource moving we intend to do. But the activities we float B, D, E, and G would have to be moved so as to enable us have a smooth resource histogram. So let's draw the chart for the activities. We have activity A being 2, B being 3, C being 6, D being 2, E being 5, F being 7, G being 3, and H being 1. The total resources available is what we see, and we realize that some of them are above the available 6, especially for the 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have 8, 8, 9, 9, 9, which are well above the 6 available resources. But let's draw a histogram. So the available resource is 6, and with the line at 6, let's see how to draw the histogram. So activity A will be indicated as a complete unit covering day 1 and 2. Mostly it's advisable to draw the activities on the critical path first because they will not be moved. So activity D, C, F, and H would have to be drawn first. So C moves from day 3 to day 8 with available resources of 3. And then we have F moving from day 9 to day 15. And the last activity H being 2. So these activities commence from the starting point and end at the end of the project. Now we can draw activities that are on the float and activities that can be moved at any time. So let's commence with B. So adding B with 3 makes it up to the 6th mark. But we have activity D also on B within the same day. So we have activity D that has also moved 2 points further to 8. And then we have activity E having 3 resources moving from day 6 to day 8 and then from day 9 to day 10. Then we have activity G also within the same day period from day 5 to day 7 with resources of 3 making it up to 9 at that portion. Let's look at how to smoothen this histogram. One way to approach this is to move the activity D and G to their latest start, as there is a float of 8 days on these activities respectively. So we have our chart and we have the movements of activity D and G by 8 days float and G by 8 days float, as we did in the earlier example. So we have the total resources and for the bar chart, and we have the total resources for the manpower resource histogram. Now we are going to compare the new histogram for the solution or the smoothing with the previous one we drew in the just past lesson. So we have the critical path activities and their resources drawn, and comparatively we can move the activity D and G by 8 days towards the end of the project. So we have B and E as placed where they are, and move D and G towards the end of the project. And these are smoothing the resource overload. So we have our loading profile as indicated on the chart. Another way of doing the same thing is to also move activity B and E by their floats respectively. So we still have our bar chart, but moving B by a float, a duration of 5 days, C remaining where it is, D remaining where it is, E also moving by that 5 floats, F remaining where it is, G also remaining where it is, and H also remaining where it is. Let's have the full or the total resources, and then we provide the forecasted resources. Have our available resources and have the initial resource histogram that needs to be smooth so we can compare. So we have the line marking the limits of the available resources. So we first of all plot the resources on the critical path, and then we can move activity B and E. So in this case, activity D and G comes, and then we can move B and E, as we have seen, further. And this is how the resource smoothing has been carried out comparatively. So we can have our loading profile as what we see on the chart. And then there is a third way of also smoothing using this format. The third way is to move activity D by 3 days, activity E by 2 days, and activity G by 8 days. And these are all within their float limits. So we have A, which is on the critical path, will not move. B has not been touched. C remains where it is, but D would have to move by 3 days. And E would have to move by 2 days. And F remains where it is. G would have to move by 8 days. And H is on the critical path and will not move. So we have the total resources for the duration of the project. Let us have that in our forecast. Available resource limit is 6. And let us draw all the bars or the histograms on the critical path first, and we compare with the previous chart. So we have A, C, F, and H being critical activities. And then the movement of activity D by 3 days would mean that B will remain where it is because B has not been moved. So we bring activity D, and then we move activity E also by 2 days, and that is what we see, and we move activity G by 8 days, and that is what we see. So this is another way of drawing the resource histogram. And once this is done, you would have saved the company money for not going to look for more resources to cater for the resource overload.